Hello, dear viewers. I am a global nationalist. I support nationalism in my country, India, and in all countries around the world. Today, I want to talk about a South Asian country, and the country I want to talk about today is Nepal. I want to talk about the Millennium Challenge Corporation agreement that the United States and Nepal have signed together, where the US, through the Millennium Challenge Corporation, will engage in developmental activities in Nepal by a grant. And I will talk about why this has caused so much protests in Nepal, why the Communist Party and other political parties in Nepal have not agreed with the government on this. So let's begin. So before I talk about the politics, let me show you what the uh, agreement actually is. It is called the Millennium Challenge Compact. This Millennium Challenge Compact, I'm reading from the document itself, is between the US through the Millennium Challenge Corporation and Nepal through the Ministry of Finance. And the goal and objectives of this compact are to reduce poverty through economic growth in Nepal, and the MCC's assistance will be provided in a manner that strengthens good governance, economic freedom, and investments in the people of Nepal. The program consists of the projects described in Annex 1, and the objective of each of the projects is to increase electricity consumption by facilitating power trade and by improving the availability and reliability of electricity supply in Nepal's electricity grid and by facilitating power trade and maintain road quality across the strategic road network. Now, uh, what the problem is that Nepal's government has not been able to ratify the agreement in the Nepal Parliament. The reason for this is because there is a disagreement in the ruling alliance about the MCC agreement. On Friday, Nepal's ruling alliance met on to decide on endorsing the US-funded MCC agreement, and the meeting remained inconclusive, and China waded into the political rift in Kathmandu over the contentious US $500 million infrastructure grants program. It was held by the top leaders of the coalition partners, including Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Doiba, Communist Party of Nepal, Maoist Center Chairman Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda, and CPN Unified Socialist Chairman Madhav Nepal. Concluded after a brief discussion on the MCC issue, government spokesperson Gyanendra Bahadur Karki said, okay, so yeah, the discussion remained inconclusive, and the next meeting will be held on Sunday morning, where a decision will be taken on the issue. Why they are divided is under consideration in the House of Representatives. So, a little background: the Nepal, the US signed the MCC agreement in 2017, and the ruling Nepali Congress has decided to endorse the MCC, but other ruling alliance members, including the CPN Mao Center and CPN Unified Socialist, have expressed their reservation. Nepal's leftist political parties have been opposing the pact, saying it was not in national interest and that it was meant for countering China. Meanwhile, China has expressed its displeasure over the MCC, which has created a sharp political polarization in Nepal. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin on Friday said China is glad to see international assistance in Nepal, but it should come without any political strings attached. Such cooperation and assistance should be based on full respect and will of the Nepalese people without any political strings attached. We oppose coercive diplomacy and an agenda based on selfish interests at the expense of the sovereignty of other countries. This shows that China is kind of saying that um, the US is engaging in coercive diplomacy with Nepal and is acting at the expense of Nepal's sovereignty. So, since China is a communist country, it's possible that the communist parties in Nepal have been manipulated and encouraged by China to oppose this agreement. And think that that's unfortunate. I don't think Nepal's political parties should be influenced by outside forces and that they should be making their decisions on their own based on what is good for the national interest. Even though the communists in Nepal may ideologically align with the Communist Party of China, that they should still put their national interest ahead of their ideological interest. So here's to show how the communists have opposed it. Uh, the opposition against the MCC is supposedly centered around an overall fear of the grant mechanism eroding upon Rashtriyata and Sarvabhaumta. By such standards, all grants and foreign assistance received by Nepal government should come under this scanner. There has been limited opposition to Indian overtures in the past, and there have been regular military exercises with the US. However, the communists have not opposed them, and the communists have not made much noise about Indian grants given to Nepal. And they haven't raised questions about Chinese loan mechanisms either, or the fact that all grant and loan mechanisms usually employ personnel, equipment, or technology from the home countries. No communist government yet has been inclined to reduce foreign aid dependence either. And this shows that the communists in Nepal are not acting honestly, but are simply trying to help China and oppose the US so that the US doesn't gain influence in Nepal, which is unfortunate because China has uh, tried to lay claims on Nepali territory, such as Mount Everest. And I am glad that China and Nepal are having good relations, but Nepal must understand that China is an expansionist country and they should be careful about engaging with China, and that if they can get the US to work with them, they can make sure that they aren't fully dominated by China. It can help offset China's dominance. So, yeah, I hope that that's what happens, and I hope that this MCC agreement is passed in Parliament and that Nepal's economy will benefit from it. If you want to see my previous video, click here. If you want to see other videos related to about South Asian countries, click here. If you want to see my sources for this video, click the links in the description below. Thank you for watching. Vande Mataram.